Nergis, welcome to the Democratizing SEO podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Yes, very, very well, thank you. Thank you so much for being on. Before we continue, actually, am I pronouncing your name correctly? I never really asked you this before, but is it correct the way I pronounce it?
Say it again.
Nergis.
Yes, that's actually perfect.
Oh,
That's
okay.
much better than many other people. So great.
Okay, perfect. I just didn't want to continue saying it incorrectly during the podcast, but yes, thanks for confirming. It's a pleasure having you on the podcast. I had a look at your website and I absolutely love it. I think it's friggin' amazing, especially when it comes to ensuring that you're targeting your appropriate audience. It's very niche, very precise, very it's perfect. So having had a look at it, I thought for this
Thank
episode
you.
that we can focus the episode on SEO for small service-based businesses. And what I want to do is get into the niche that you're in, ask you a number of questions around small businesses and your wedding SEO academy, as well as the course that you've created or the guide that you've created. But before all of that, as I like to do with all my SEO guests, I like to ask them how they got into the SEO industry. So, with that said, how did you become an SEO professional?
Well, it's probably not the usual way. So I started as a freelance wedding planner myself.
Ah.
I don't know when. It's been a while now. And because I started as a freelancer, I basically needed to do my own website, market myself. That's when I actually first come across SEO. I was trying to learn how to do a website and how to market, and I like the SEO was like kept popping up. I found it really interesting, but in all honesty, it sounded a bit too confusing and complicated and technical. So even though I could see that it was something very useful, I just never paid so much attention to it because I was just like, this is too technical for me. I don't know coding. I don't know how to build a website. I'm creative, so that's probably not for me. But it was always in my head. And I did like weddings and events for, God, about 6 years in the UK. And it was always something that I was actually keep talking to people. Like I was always, wherever I go, the SEO advocate. But for me, and I think mostly for small businesses and wedding industry as well, when you think about SEO, it's all about like blogging.
Yeah.
So I would always be like, we need to do some SEO, and then we will talk about it, and it would always be like, oh, it's just going to take so much time. What are we going to write about? And it would just never happen. And then when COVID happened, that was obviously terrible times for everyone, but especially for, I think, small businesses and wedding industry.
Yeah.
There was literally nothing to do. My work was reduced. Like I was just basically doing postponing weddings after weddings. So I had time in my hands. And I'm not someone who just likes sitting. I just love taking on projects, even though I don't get paid for them. So I decided to learn more about SEO. So I was really curious. I started my own blog. And I also started another project to learn embroidery. I know they sound like really irrelevant, but at the end, which meant that I started basically buying supplies from this e-commerce company called Love Crafts. I loved them. They like saved me during lockdown. And then I was also learning SEO, and it just like, I got more and more interested, and I was like, this is actually like so different than what I thought. It was like, this is not just about blogging. And I started to realize this is something that I can combine both creativity and my analytical skills, because I'm very creative, but I also have a very analytical mind. So I was like, this is really interesting. And And I just got really curious about learning, what does it mean to be an SEO? What would it look like day to do this? And just out of curiosity, I started looking at like some job descriptions, and then I saw basically a job description from Lovecraft, and I was like, what are the chances? I was like, this is like universe talking to me.
Yeah.
I should apply for this. I did, and then I ended up doing e-commerce SEO basically, and that's how I got into SEO.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So with the SEO being wide and vast, would you say you focus on a specific area or specific pillar rather of SEO, or do you prefer all rounder? Are you more content, technical, off-page focused? You mentioned you're analytical and have a creative mindset. How does that serve you as an SEO?
It's very useful and I really enjoy it. I would say I mainly focus on page SEO, especially because I work with small businesses now. I was technical focused when I was doing e-commerce, but when I switched to small businesses, I've now more focused on page. And the reason is because most small business owners use ready-made website platforms like Squarespace, Showit, WordPress, and you really don't need as much technical as it is for like bigger e-commerce websites. And where they're mostly lacking is how to optimize on page. So that's mostly where I focus, but I do also, if it's required, give some technical advice and technical changes. And also I always make sure that I give advice on like more off-page backlinks, where they can get backlinks, what strategies they can follow. But I don't specifically offer that service as part of my services. I just give them advice on what they should be doing.
Yeah, technical is an interesting area, isn't it? It's the core of SEO, but a number of websites, let's say old websites, they tend to have a legacy CMS, which wasn't built, or should we say, which didn't necessarily service SEO. So a number of issues that's pertaining to technical tends to be because of the CMS that business has, right? And when you have small to medium businesses, they tend to go with the more newer versions of CMSs. So WordPress, Wix, Square. What was the third one you mentioned? Was it Squarespace?
Squarespace, Showit is quite popular writing for creative businesses as well.
And those platforms, they're very much focused on SEO. Some might even say they're SEO first based platforms, which has the technical aspect of SEO very much taken care of. That's on one hand. On the other hand, some might say it can kind of make businesses for a better word, lazy with their SEO. Do you find that businesses have their technical SEO on point most of the time, or is it a case of they can pretty much deal with a better optimization from a technical point of view?
So as you said, I think those platforms both a blessing and a curse at the same time if you don't know it well, because they are, as you said, they are getting better and better every day. They are giving like really good SEO options that you can go and change, but also they create sometimes issues as well. Whether that's true, like without realizing duplicating pages, resulting in so many like 404s, or like just for example, with Showit, if you don't know, they just like copy and paste the same page settings as you do, and you don't realize you need to go and change certain things. So yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't come across like really, really big technical issues like I used to when I was doing e-commerce business, but you still see some things. You're like, okay, we need to change these things. But you just need to be very careful and a bit like conscious of how they work.
Yeah. So you're in a very specific niche. What audience would you say you serve as an SEO?
I would say, well, mainly it's the wedding industry, small service-based businesses in the wedding industry, because that's where I come from. That's where my heart lies in. But I also do take on projects from other small service-based businesses. I'm huge on mindfulness. So sometimes I do take on clients related to if they feel like a good fit. But my main focus is more like creative wedding industry.
Is there a story behind why you chose to be niche with it? You mentioned that your background, but from experience, SEOs tend to go broad, right, with their services, whereas you've been very laser sharp focused, and I think it's a breath of fresh air when I have a look at your website, because the audience is so precisely targeted that you're pretty much the only one I know who does wedding SEO, right, as a service. So it's refreshing to see. But what I want to know is why, is there a story behind why you chose wedding specifically?
Well, first of all, I do have a special connection with the wedding industry. And after a while, I started to realize that I really missed the people in it. I missed working with like small business owners. I just missed getting exciting or like wedding related things day to day.
Yeah.
And I also felt like it was kind of my duty to give back to the community. And I always like doing things that's like meaningful to me. And because I came from the industry and I knew for myself like how I thought SEO was just blogging. And it was this scary, confusing, technical thing. When I actually realized and learned it's actually shouldn't be that confusing and scary, and that anyone can really do it, to be honest, I think. So I was like, I need to show this to the people. And because I am so passionate about weddings and wedding industry, I have so many friends. And when I decided to go on my way to do consultancy for small businesses, I automatically started talking to wedding industry professionals, and I realized their pain and what they're struggling through. And I was like, I can help these people. I can teach them. I can show them how to do it in really simple terms. So that's my thing. I just want to really simplify SEO. Yours is like democratizing SEO. Similarly, mine is like, I just want to simplify it and make it accessible to everyone. And it just made sense to do that with the wedding industry.
That's the beauty of SEO, isn't it? It's very much based on the individual. Like Mark Preston, I mention him quite often on the podcast. He's an SEO mindset coach, but his thing is understand your why. And one of the things that I realize about SEO, why it attracts people who tend to have a creative / analytical mindset, is that there is so many areas that one could venture into. You could be an SEO copywriter specifically. You could focus on a specific pillar or a specific industry. It's so wide and vast that it caters to pretty much every single person that's creative and or analytical, right? That have those sort of mindset. So it's about understanding who you, the individual, are as a person and where you want to venture into. And yeah, you've definitely found it with with this niche. Now, you also have experience on larger websites. You mentioned the e-commerce sites earlier, business earlier. How does doing SEO for e-commerce, large website, compare to small businesses?
Well, I think that could be a bit controversial because I've talked with so many SEOs and they were like, oh, I don't want to do small businesses. But for me, it was like, oh, I don't know, such a good experience because, first of all, I think you see results much more quickly and more significantly because most of the time, small business owners don't actually do anything about their SEO, and there is a really good opportunity. So even like just a small change on your homepage, just you can see results very quickly. So it's really satisfactory. Whereas when I was doing e-commerce SEO, we do so many things and it's so hard to see what's working, what's not working. They're already like nicely optimized, and it's then comes to more about like the technical bits. Like I worked like for nearly two years. I think, I worked on a re-platforming project, which was really good and interesting, but it is not as satisfactory. Whereas, the satisfaction you get from working on small businesses is great. It's also, I just find myself being much more creative with it. It like really feels that creativity in me. So I just find it to be a bit more like refreshing, and just gives me more sense of value, I guess, if it makes sense.
Oh, totally. I made a post on LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago saying, it was sort of like tongue in cheek, but I said real SEO is local SEO and SEO for small businesses. And that was essentially saying the whole idea behind that was both those two areas of SEO relies on you seeing results and seeing results quickly. So it's like it gets you in the mindset of that creative, analytical approach to SEO, which when you see the results, you get a sense of value, pleasure. For larger businesses, they tend to move a lot slower, like micro slow compared to local and small businesses. And to the point where any change that one wants to make has to go through several levels of reviews, as you know, and several departments, which on one hand is good when you interact with the different departments, but on the other hand, in terms of seeing results, it takes so long, and it can be quite frustrating at times. So I can imagine doing SEO for small businesses is very refreshing and pleasurable as well. Now,
definitely,
if I were to say the phrase, small businesses need to know this about SEO, what would you say this is?
I would say that it's simple and it's quite straightforward. Also, it's not just blogging. I want to say that.
No, it's definitely not. Do you find that small businesses find SEO daunting at times?
Oh my God, definitely. That's the thing. Like when I talk I'm like in touch and contact with so many small business owners. And I love asking them, actually, one of my questions, I like, what does it make you feel when I say SEO, when you hear the word SEO, what comes up to you? And they all say like, scared, confused. They don't know where to start. They say that it's this like a mystical beast. And it's just daunting. The good news is I think most small business owners, especially in the wedding industry, know that SEO is something they need to be doing. Right. They know that it is the solution. Mm-hmm. But they just find it this big mountain that they don't even know where to start climbing, that is always on the back burner, which is a shame. So I guess that's what I'm trying to do, to show it's not, and like you just need to start from somewhere. It doesn't need to be perfect, because as you know, SEO is all about like starting and taking meaningful action, and it just snowballs over time. But you need to start taking action somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I find that this perception is mainly down to SEOs, or the SEO community, I should say, because the term that you mentioned right there, daunting, mystical thing. These are all from the SEO community. What do you think we should be doing to like change this perception of SEO?
I think we need to go into really simple terms, like the terms that are so basic and simple to us. Even keywords are actually, for some people, they're not. They're like, what is it? So just really like trying to simplify things, really try to explain things in simple, straightforward way, and just like giving people that confidence. I think just saying you can do this. You don't need to be a developer. You don't need to know code.
Yeah.
Especially as a small business owner, you don't need any of this. You can just do it. And just being really, giving that encouragement and trying to be using a bit more non-technical language, I think is all they need.
Yeah.
It's also, I think, as you mentioned, it's like most SEOs, like is so generic. And I think it really depends on your industry, your niche. Like e-commerce SEO is so different than to affiliate SEO, is so different than the small business SEO. Even within them, they're all different. So I think just making that difference very clear when someone is writing an article or recording a video, just make it really clear that this is for e-commerce businesses. But if you're a small business, you don't necessarily need to do this. Or if you're a small business, this is what you should be doing ideally, but not as like, because it's different. And I think that's what causes that confusion. And that scare.
I think we also sometimes, ironically enough, don't necessarily know our audience. So even for me, sometimes when I'm thinking of ideas for content, right, I say to myself, okay, this can work for small businesses, but also medium-sized businesses can find this useful. And then maybe I might know of a couple of large businesses that might find this useful. So it then defaults to general, right? Whereas sometimes, a lot of the times, I would say it's actually better to be very specific. So this is for this set of people. It might exclude others, but at least you know your audience. And as SEOs, I find that we sometimes don't necessarily state who our audience is. We just sort of like keep it as the default SEO and incorporate any and everyone that has anything to do with SEO, which is not always ideal. For small businesses, right, I find that they need to have sort of like a balance between knowing SEO, right? So having a certain level of awareness of SEO, yet not being an SEO, not being the default SEO person. Do you know what I mean? So they, their main their business is their business, right? SEO is just a channel or an area or a tool even to essentially improve their business, right? Where would you say that balance should be between learning SEO to a level where you have the appropriate awareness of it, and yet not being the SEO person of your business?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. And I think that's a very good point, because especially like small business owners, they have so much going on for them anyways. And most of them actually don't really want to do it themselves, but they want to know how to do it, which is great, because I do really think that I think every business owner needs to have a basic understanding of SEO. And that's because if really needed, they do have the confidence and knowledge to go and do some changes and implementations on their own. But also, if they hire an SEO consultant, SEO expert, they have the confidence and knowledge to check the quality of the work they're receiving. I think that's really important, because as you know, there's so many SEOs out there that are not that good. And I had so many clients who told me like, oh, I've done SEO before, I worked with this person. And I look, and I can't see anything that's been done. Like even like the simplest things I'm missing. And when I tell them, they were like, oh, we thought that person was doing that. So in that case, I think it's really important for them to know. But I agree, if they don't need to, because of, sometimes they may need to do it because they don't have the budget, maybe. But it's much better to have someone to at least give them the guidance and the strategy, I think, and then maybe guide them through of how they can do it themselves.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's just having that basic knowledge. And I feel like what most business owners miss is how Google works. So just understanding how Google works and how SEO helps with that, I think just gives them a big, massive mindset change anyways. Because I also feel the other thing that some people tell me is I don't want to get penalized by Google, or I'm going to do something and there's going to be an algorithm change and then I'm not going to know what to do anyways again. And that's not the case if you know how Google works, really.
No.
So,
the fundamentals don't change.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Every small business that has a website, do they need SEO?
I think they do. But it also depends on the business goals, right? It depends on your business and business goals. But of course, I am an SEO, but I do think that if they want a more sustainable growth, then definitely SEO is something I think every business should invest in. It's also not just from the perspective of getting organic traffic, but also I think once you invested in your SEO, you automatically make your website much functional, much more user-friendly. It elevates your website. It automatically attracts, even people don't come to your website through organic search. It just gives them a better experience. So I think in that sense, it's really important to do some SEO.
Okay, so if the goal of marketing, right, is to generate traffic to one's website, and they're doing this already with social media, which is very popular with small businesses, why the need for SEO? You kind of hinted at it there, but I thought to ask the question in a slightly different approach. So, the reason I ask this question is because small businesses, they're a lot more familiar with social media. And SEO is something that they see as mystical. So they tend to shy away from it, stay away from it completely sometimes, and just stick with social media. But if we're saying SEO is more than a marketing channel, which you hinted at there, again, why the need for SEO if if a small business is already getting traffic from social?
Well, first of all, I do think that any business shouldn't rely on just one channel. If all your marketing is based on one channel, that's not sustainable, that's risky. You don't own the social media platforms. Your Instagram profile is unfortunately not really your profile. It can go any time and you may lose all your leads, all your audience. There's nothing much you can do about that. That's the first reason. I think you definitely need to own your channels. Yes, some people may say that, whether it's WordPress, it's Squarespace, but they're much more, I think, safer options in terms of owning your data. Also, you can dictate your user journey on your website, whereas you can't really do that with social media channels. And it comes with the user friendliness. And most of my clients, actually, the first thing they tell me is that, thank you so much. Having this website and this changes, improved my confidence in my website. I'm much more confident and proud of my website now to showcases. So that's one thing. The other thing is actually many people, it's just having Instagram and social media causes them so much stress, right? Because they need to constantly create content and post on the content. And most of them don't have that time. And that's the biggest issue and pain that they come to me. They're like, I want to get away from Instagram or social media being my main marketing channel because I don't want to spend my time on this platform. I don't want to feel guilty when I don't post one day. Yeah. They're like, I don't feel authentic because as you probably know, and I mean, I love Instagram, but over the years, it's changed from a place where you can actually like build more audience to somewhere it's just like a place that you nurture your current audience, you build more relationship, you warm them up, and just it's your validation rather than an audience building, I think. Yeah. It's becoming harder and harder. Mm-hmm. And that's really frustrating for many small business owners, especially creative businesses like wedding industry professionals who rely on that platform. And they just feel like they're losing their authenticity. They don't want to start doing these reels and follow the trends and do dances. They just most of them hate that. So in that sense as well, like having SEO in your pocket just gives you that freedom, because then you don't have to worry about posting every day on Instagram. Yeah. One thing I say is, I think nowadays your website is your initial handshake. That's where people find you, come to you, get to know you. And then your Instagram is your validation. That's where you build that relationship even further. Right. So they, I think, work very well together. But SEO is a must if you want to have a healthy business growth, sustainable business growth, and have more of a freedom of time, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. I am slightly biased because I'm a fellow SEO, but there's this old school marketing terminology, which is don't build your house. Of course, other industries use it as well, but it's don't build your house on rented land. And that's appropriate for a lot of these social media sites. They are great, but they're not owned channels, right? They're not owned assets. No. Your own asset is your website, and SEO is so integral to that you really need to be spending most of your time, in my opinion, on SEO. It's more than a marketing channel. It's a channel that allows you to service your users appropriately and be seen on Google. Once you know who you are, what you do, and what audience you service, as Jason Bernard would 100%. Say. Your wedding 100%. SEO. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you said so right. I just want to highlight that you said once you know what you do, who you serve, because I think that's really important. Like before starting SEO, you really need to know what your business goals are. You really need to know who's your target audience and what are your business goals. And then start implementing SEO accordingly to serve that business goals. Yeah. And that's where, tell me if I'm sidetracking, but this is a big thing for me. That's where I find this advice of just blog really frustrating, because it just puts people off of SEO. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, they don't even know. They just blog random things. And SEO is about increasing your organic traffic, but not just random traffic. Like if it's not going to turn into enquiries and clients, then what's the point of even getting that traffic? Exactly. So that's so right what you said. And I love you said that, because that's so important. So important.
Yeah, definitely. It helps you focus on your audience. Again, being laser sharp. Now, your wedding SEO Academy. Tell me more about this. I found this interesting.
Yes. So, as I mentioned before, my whole thing is around teaching people SEO. I want them to be confident with their SEO knowledge. I want to show them that they can do it themselves. And the Wedding SEO Academy came from that idea. I was like, how can I do this? So I decided, I really put my heart in it, to be honest. And I just wanted to show people and teach people my exact steps, because I'm not special. I mean, I'm coming from SEO industry. I don't have any technical background. If I can do it, they can definitely do it. So I just wanted to give them that confidence, and also create that community, because it's good to have other like-minded people, business people who are going to cheer you along. You're going to hear like what their struggles are, because sometimes people also feel like, oh, this is a silly question, this is a stupid question, they may not want to ask. But then if someone else is asking, that's good for them, and they're like, oh, actually, great, this person is struggling with that. So it all came from that. And I'm a huge advocate for coaches. Since I started my business, I've had like 3 coaches and mentors. I think it's really important to get help. And I just wanted to create that same thing, same environment for the wedding businesses. And that's how the Wedding SEO Academy came to existence. It's mainly a video training course where I just, I basically show them exactly step by step what they need to be doing, from like keyword research to all the way to the implementation and tracking. But then they have access to me, to a coach, and also to a community. We jump on like weekly coaching calls. They can ask their questions. We can look at things together. They have those things, and I'm really, really excited about that one.
Awesome. It's a great initiative and on brand as well, for your targeted audience, which is awesome. Now, you're an SEO consultant for wedding professionals and creatives. You have a set of core values. Tell me about your core values, please.
My core values, the first one is authenticity. That's why I also want to help with people. I think it's so important to be true to your values. I also, one of my values in my business is transparency. I'm so transparent with what I do, why I do. I share everything with my clients. I think it's really important for them to know and track what I'm doing. Simplicity, as we mentioned, it's simple. It's really not rocket science. And I just want people to know that. So I always try to simplify everything. And I told everyone, I'm like, if I say something and if it's not simple, please tell me. Like, I need to know, because it may be simple and basic for me, but maybe not to you. So I'm like, always tell me. I think expertise is so important, and that's the fundamentals are the same, and how Google works is not changes that much, but there are changes happening in the SEO industry, right, to the best practices. So it's really important for all of us to stay on top. So I'm all about like educating myself, putting time aside to read what's happening in the SEO world, what's happening with Google, and just give the best to my clients, and also share that knowledge with them, whether through my programs or like my Instagram or my email list, to share it with them. And the other main thing is, I have so many core values, I feel.
Go for it.
The other one is like freedom. For me, is so important. And that's why I think SEO is so important, to give that freedom to the wedding industry professionals as well. And that's freedom of time, because as we discussed, when they have an SEO in place, it's just going to keep bringing them. Yes, they need to do a bit of upkeep, but it's not as intensive as Instagram or other platforms. They can take a break if they want to. And also just freedom to really like say no to the projects or the clients that they don't want to work with, because they don't need to feel like, oh, I don't get too many inquiries, I've just got this, I should say yes. No, because once you have an SEO in place, and if you give it a bit of time, as you know, it's just going to bring more and more and better inquiries, and then they have the option to choose and pick who they want to work with or not. I just realized I have quite a lot of values.
That's awesome. Four core values there. You mentioned freedom there at the end. Now, with social media, some small businesses will say, they stay up to date with the latest within social media. SEO, as you know, is vastly more wide and broad, right? Do you suggest that small businesses also stay on top with everything that happens within the SEO community?
I don't think they need to, really, because like from their perspective, as we said, they just need to know the basics, what needs to be done, especially from on-page perspective, I think, and backlinking. And there are so many ways, easy ways, well, I say relatively easy ways, that they can get backlinks as well. So I think it's just like following, I mean, they love Instagram. They're all in Instagram, following people like other SEOs. I would always recommend finding people who are more like focused on what their business and niche is about. And then just following those people and their advice. And then SEO is all about, testing, right? So if they come across something and it feels good to their business, if it feels aligned and if it makes sense for their business, I would say don't be afraid. Go and try it. Then track your results, see if it's working or not. If it is, great. If it's not, then you got your answer. Maybe that's not the right strategy for you. But yeah, they don't need to follow the SEO community like we do. I don't think they need to do that. But following the right coaches, right consultants on Instagram, on Facebook, and just like seeing what they're saying, I think that's more than enough.
Yeah, I agree. I think the fundamentals are what's important, and then past that, it's about appropriating the information for one's business. I like to look at SEO as a way of almost like in different areas. So you have SEO community who focus on industry specific updates, and then you have SEO for one's business, i.e., the business leads SEO, the SEO that's required for them. And I think when small businesses focus on their business specifically after learning understanding the fundamentals of SEO, when they focus on their business, they can then appropriate elements of SEO into their business as opposed to just aiming to learn everything about SEO and delve in deeper and deeper, because there's way too much to learn. And any SEO who says they know it all is not being truthful, because no SEO knows it all. It's too
No. Definitely. I mean, I definitely don't know it all.
No.
You're so right. So right. And I think that's where they start to get scared, because it's just a rabbit hole, isn't it? Like there's so much information out there, and then just they found that and there's like, oh my God, there's so much. Like I can't do this all. But they don't need to. No. They don't need to. Yeah.
It leads to that. What's that phrase people say? Paralysis by analysis, where people they delve so much into analyzing, studying, learning so much that they end up not taking any action, which is not the approach a small business needs at all.
Yeah.
You have a free wedding SEO 101 guide. What will wedding professionals learn from this guide?
Well, first of all, they will learn how to do blogging the right way. That's what actually triggered it. Because I do see like so many wedding professionals spending their time on blogging, not to their service pages, not to the homepage, just blogging. And even then, it's not the right way. So I just wanted to help that. So they will get the tips on how to do blogging the right way and the mistakes that the majority of the wedding professionals are doing. There are also some like actionable steps and other things as well, how to optimize their website. So it's like it's certainly a really good starting point for them to start seeing like how it works and how they should be thinking about it when it comes to SEO, and just to give them that confidence that it's actually could be simple. And I got really good feedback from it. So I'm really happy with that. I also have a free wedding, again, SEO 101 masterclass that they can find on my website, which goes into a bit more detail of how Google works and what does that mean in terms of SEO. So yeah,
Where can people find
hopefully they find those useful.
Where can people find them online?
They can go to my Instagram and click on my link, and they all have like direct links to those pages. They can also go to my website directly and then find them on my menu under resources, or they can just email me or message me, and I will send it to them happily.
Awesome. Now, an area that small businesses are kind of picking up interest in is AI generated content, and
Yes.
it kind of lends itself into the whole blogging area. So businesses who blog for the sake of blogging will then potentially be looking at AI generated content as a way of alleviating this aspect where they no longer need to blog or write content for their blog. They can just use AI generated content for their blog. Is this a good idea?
To be honest, I have to say, I'm not the right person to talk about AI that much, because I still try to get my head around it myself. I'm following so many topics around it in the community. But I started to get like some of my clients asking me, because I do tell them, okay, let's create this page. Can you just write a little bit of a draft for me that I can work on it? And they'll be like, I've used this AI tool. Here you go. Is that okay? I do think that they are like quite useful, but it's really important to then give your own spin on it. First of all, check the facts that it's right. Make it your own. Like, go and make the edits. Make sure that it's you, it's your brand voice. It reflects you, and it's natural. So I wouldn't advise just get an AI tool to generate something and then don't touch it and just publish it. I don't think that's clever. But as a supporting tool, I don't see why it would cause any issues, as long as we said, you're really careful about it and you do your own fact checks, you do your own edits, make it your own. Then yeah. And I do feel like it is we're going to see way more about AI tools in the SEO and content writing over the months and years. So yeah, definitely, why not try?
Yeah, the coming months and years, I would say the next 1 to 3 years is going to be very interesting within the search industry,
Yes.
because we have AI, which is now within search. We also have other search engines that are aiming to take away from Google's dominance. So with SEOs focus on Google because they have the most market share and whatnot. But now we have other areas of SEO, and it seems to be getting more and more specific, to the point where this could be the biggest threats that Google legitimately faces. So they have Bing, Yahoo, which is, of course, used to be their main competitor, Yahoo, that is. And we also have TikTok as well, which is proving to be an interesting place where people search. And I'm finding that SEOs are now being very specific with the SEO that they carry out. So they're a TikTok SEO professional, which is fascinating to me. TikTok specifically is an area of interest because I'm seeing that they're targeting new generation of searchers. So, for example, TikTok actively promotes people to search for certain things on the app. And I'm wondering, is this going to lead to a different, a changed behavior from searchers, in that they'll search with the device or the tool or the platform that they have, rather than defaulting to Google and using Google as their main search engine? Do you see a world where Google no longer dominates as they do right now?
I mean, anything can happen, but I doubt that Google is going to go away. Yes, you're right. I think the new generations, younger generations, are much more in tune with TikTok and AI. I mean, my brother, who's 10 years younger than me, he, for example, just sent me his CV to check out, and he was like, "I use AI to do my CV." I'm like, "Okay, great." Behaviors are definitely changing, especially for the younger generations. But I don't think that Google will go away, because I mean, Google is really good at adapting as well, according to user behaviors, search behaviors. So I am expecting them to come up with other ways. Also, I mean, I tried TikTok as well because everyone was talking about it. So I was like, what is this madness? Let me look. And I don't know, I personally, for me, it was a bit like too much. And I feel like for my clients, like wedding SEO, wedding business owners, creative small businesses, of course, they are all great channels. And if it works for them, if it works for their brand and their personality, I think they should definitely go and try those out. But I also don't want them to feel pressured that they need to go and try those things, because they already have so much going on. Yeah, I would advise just like, you don't need to go after every trend, but it's good to be aware of what's happening, so that you can like pivot if needed. But I don't think they need to change that much at this stage.
No, I don't imagine.
I don't want them to feel very pressured as well.
I don't imagine the younger generation will be searching for wedding photographers, for example, on TikTok.
Yeah, but it may, who knows? It may happen in 10, 20 years time, but then who knows what's going to be like the whole search by then. So, yeah.
Yeah, the next 10 or 20 years, it's hard to say, but the
So
next
hard.
1 to 3 years, I think, is going to be very pivotal. I doubt any one competitor will overtake Google, but I do think they have a chance of chipping away at Google's dominance, especially with the younger generation. But we'll see. Time will tell. Nergis.
Yeah. I will say it's sorry.
Go for it.
I was just going to say one last thing. I would say it's our responsibility as SEO consultants to stay on top of what's happening, learning, advancing, and then just in very simple terms telling that to our audience, so they are knowledgeable, but they don't need to go and do that themselves. I think that's our responsibility, to keep up to date with the trends and then teach it to our audience in very simple terms.
Yeah, I agree. Leave all of that stuff, small businesses, to SEOs. And SEOs, what Nergis mentioned right there, in simple terms, non-SEO jargon terms, please.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah. Stop scaring the businesses, small businesses.
Exactly. We're still in the first quarter of the year, although we're coming to the end of it. What are you looking forward to this year?
Oh, interesting. Well, I mean, I have so many ideas that I can be doing. I'm excited on those, which I will, let people know in the upcoming months. It's just like I have to admit, like, I've also not been really good with my own SEO, to be honest, because I was so busy with my client SEO. So I'm actually really looking forward to, I'm trialing new things, testing new things for myself. I'm looking forward to results from my own business and to share them with my audience as well. So that's what I'm really excited for at the moment.
Cool. Sounds good. I'll keep a lookout for what you have to say. Like I said earlier, I love your website. It's very specific and targeted, and it's a breath of fresh air compared to what's out there within the SEO industry. Nergis, thank you so much for your time today. Where can people find you online?
Well, thank you so much for having me on this podcast, first of all. I really enjoyed it. It's really, really good to be here. They can find me on Instagram. My name is really hard. I'm so sorry for everyone. It's basically my name and my surname, Nergis Yuksel. And then UK at the end, at Nergis Yuksel UK. But if they just search Nergis SEO on Instagram, I'm sure it will come up. And they can also just put my name on Google, and I'm sure my website comes up. But it's the same, my name, nergisyuksel.com. And also, I just want to say, I recently started a Facebook group for wedding industry professionals. Its main thing is not SEO. I mean, because I'm SEO, I am going to be doing some free trainings, but it's just to create a community around the wedding industry, like a safe place for people to come together, network, ask questions, share their struggles, and help each other out. So if anyone is listening from the wedding industry, make sure to come and join and say hi. It's called Wedding Pros Community on Facebook. Be great to have you there.
Awesome. If you share those links with me, I'll be happy to put it in the description so users can check you out on them. Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Nergis. Thank you so much for your time. Have a brilliant day, and we'll catch up again another time.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye now.